All right, let's get rolling, man. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, ready.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Healthcare 360. Wherever you are, wherever you listen to us, whatever time it is, we thank you for being part of the best and brightest. And we thank you for being part of this unbelievable nation that you all created. So we appreciate you, and we thank you for coming back for another episode. Today, we have in front of us the topic that is very atypical thinking. And it may not be for everybody, and that's okay. But my promise to the best and brightest of healthcare is that we will explore what most people do not explore their own. We'll do our homework. We'll bring in this conversations that people are just not used to. This is one of those conversations. And at first glance, some people may not like it. But guess what? We have someone on the other side of us here that's going to be able to explain the science, the data, and the history of what you're about to hear and what I'm about to say. So first off, let me introduce Harry Matadine. We met through a mutual friend, Clayton Thomas, with the Root Brand Company. Mm-hmm. We spoke about in, I'm going to challenge my memory here, episode 74, I believe it was, on Healthcare 360. Mm-hmm. And Harry reached out on Instagram, really kind of a cool story. He says, hey, man, like, would you be interested in talking about X? And I said, sure. I said, what's X? When he told me what X was, I was like, oh. So Harry has a lot of background, and he's written books. And the name of his first book is Aged Urine, Discovery of the Century. His second book is Aged Urine, Rediscovery of the Century. There is a thing called urine therapy.
Yes.
I wasn't aware at all. But when we had our conversation, what I was aware of, and I always remember, I grew up, my father had a boat. I went out, not that I got stung with jellyfish a lot, but it's known that if you get stung by a jellyfish, you're supposed to pee on it, pee on the wound, pee on where you got stung. Mm-hmm. And I said, something, you're right. So then I started doing some research. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy crap, this thing's legit. So Harry, thank you for taking the time, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. And by the way, Harry has one of the best accents that you're all going to hear.
Thanks, man. I love how everyone's accent sounds amazing when it's different. How strange is that, Scott? I love psychology. It's just your accent, the American accent fascinates me, and I'm just normal to my accent, right?
Anyways, Harry, again, thanks for being available, man. Really appreciate it. So I'd like to dive into real quick. I pulled up an article, and I'm going to let me do this real quick. So just give me 1 second. I'm actually going to...
And by the way, for the people watching, I haven't prepared, so I have no idea what Scott's going to throw at me. We're going to be spontaneous here and roll.
That's how we do it. drhealthbenefits.com is a website, and it goes and reviews 15 health benefits of urine therapy. And of course, they put in parentheses number 8 is shocking. So let me read through them real quick.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to dive into the science, your books, etc. So number 1, prevent from bacterial infections. 2, cures fungi infections on skin. 3, prevent from viral infection, prevents allergies, to cure the symptom of autoimmune disease, which is a massive one, prevent hair loss, which is very, very different, cures acne and other skin problems. So obviously it looks like there's a lot of the therapy is focused around skin.
Yeah.
Number 8
that's the focus they're giving it, but it does do those things.
You said something the other day when we were talking, and you were talking about cancer, and right here it clearly says it fights cancer.
Yep. Yeah, of course. Oh yes, we'll get into that if you want in a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Cleanse the blood circulation, promotes a healthy heart, relieve sting and burning wounds. That's the jellyfish example.
Yep.
Keeps younger skin, relieves constipation.
Yeah.
It calms the nerves. Yep. And it has a bunch of other benefits to prevent other diseases. So this is not by any stretch a therapy. After I read this, it's been overlooked. Yep. It's also part of our discussion, Harry, about why it's being overlooked. And because there's no payment system centered around it. So, Harry, I'd like you to take over. I've been talking too much already, man. So tell us a little about the science, the data, about urine therapy, why it's used, how it's used, and we'll just keep asking questions as we go along.
Sure. So this urine therapy there's a modern resurgence going on of an ancient tradition that has been written about in such books as the Shivambu Kalpa. So people can Google that. The ancient Vedics have talked about it. The Buddha himself has talked about it. And there's got 4 quotes out on actually aged urine, which we'll talk about later. But let's just stick with the basics here. Fresh urine.
Sure.
Fresh urine is a panacea for every single problem and ailment under the sun, as you've mentioned in your 15. I'll go further, and when I think deeply about it, it's got 1,000 issues of human conditions and problems. Whether you've broken a bone, you can put urine compresses. Whether you've got a sting from poison, a deadly poisonous animal, it will save your life. You've got cuts and bruises, you can put it on your skin. It removes all diseases. Given time and dedication to the practice, I mean, this is like, for me, this is why I really want to talk to you and keep it the main focus. It's one of the biggest lies out there in the world that urine is a waste product, because if it's not, then, and it is what we claim it to be, and through my own practice and many people, my friends practice it too, that it's going to cure people from a lot of diseases for free. And how do people make money? How do the pharmaceuticals make money when you make this pee? So in other words, they have to set it up, because I don't know about you, Scott, but where did you learn that pee was a waste product, and how old? Because I've always been taught it. My parents told me. Where did my parents learn? I don't know the origins of where this came from.
Yeah, I can't say that I actually learned it from somewhere, someone, something. All I know that is it's part of your evacuative system. So you ingest liquid.
Yep.
Or your body then secretes the liquid out of the food. And then anything that wasn't needed gets evacuated from the body. And we have 3 evacuation methods. We have our mouth through purging. We have our pee, and then we have our stools with number 3. So I had no idea this existed before you. And that was we were introduced to each other about a week and a half ago, roughly.
Yeah, something like that, right? Officially. Yeah.
So I find it really fascinating that after I learned, and then I looked and I was like, wow, it's really there. And then especially after some of the notes that I took after our first discussion about, because again, there's a lot of people that have come on the show, and I appreciate you becoming part of the best and brightest too, and becoming a fan of the show as well.
Yeah, I love it.
And you heard a good majority of them. I've mentioned this gentleman quite a few times now, Lonnie Stormo. He's like, look, the healthcare system can be defined to one word, and that's payment. And that's exactly where you camped out when we first spoke about this. He's like, look, there's no payment system. There's nothing to be made. And if you remember, you and I were talking when we first spoke that hospitals back in the 50s and early 60s would also perform the skill of a colonic.
Yes. Enemas, you're saying.
Enemas,
yeah.
So enemas, colonics, stool being cleaned out, that was a normal practice. But the reason why they took it out was because it reduced inflammation. And when you reduce inflammation, you get better. And how do you charge for someone? How do you charge for making someone go poop? You can't.
Exactly. No.
It's a natural process. So again, there's a lot of things that lined up here, and I'm not trying to prove the point, because some people may still, on the other side of this, and part of the best and brightest, still may be weirded out by urine therapy. But I'm telling y'all, like there's some legitimacy here that Harry's going to tap into right now. So keep going, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, like I know, because I was like that too. I mean, this is how I got into it. 2000s. I've always been open-minded, Scott. First of all, I must qualify this and say that if you're not open-minded, you're not going to get to the truth of this substance. So I've always been reading books too. I went on Amazon and read a book it had loads of reviews. So I was like, okay, social proof, loads of reviews. And it was called Your Own Perfect Medicine. Got my curiosity. I didn't actually know until it arrived it was about urine therapy. Anyway, this book is really good. It literally is Your Own Perfect Medicine. Inside it, there is documentation and proof and science for people that love science from the 1930s and 40s and 50s. They don't do them anymore, these studies anymore, funny enough. We know why. But there was available a lot of science on the actual nutrients, the goodness of the urine, whether that be the urea, which is about 2%, and it's not a waste product. You put urea on your skin, it makes it smooth. It actually reduces brain inflammation. If people Google urea, that's just one thing. There's science on the antibodies, because every single disease that you have going on in you, and by the way, even me and you are creating cancer right now and we're healthy, right? So these antibodies are coming out in the urine, which we resupply. So in this book, basically, I read it in a park, and it's a short book, and I recommend people check it out as well as mine. And I just was convinced to try it, and I was excited, and I thought this might work. It sounds crazy. I drank it still. And I must admit, I wasn't healthy before I drank. I just was on tap water, which is really disastrous. I didn't know about health. I drank the urine first of the morning, and my energy and state of consciousness shifted so much that I knew instantly that I would never be the same again. Like I thought, wow, this depression that I thought I got rid of at that point had just gone away. My energy went through the roof. And what got me excited the most was, and I don't have to pay for it. I can just drink this all the time. And that was 4 years ago. And I've been so inspired and learned so much about urine from Facebook and social media since, that I've learned about the aged urine, which we'll get into, which is even more powerful. This is so shocking to people. Just fresh urine is already a shock. And then when I talk about the smelly, stinky aged, oh my God. So we maybe get time to get into that. But
fermented like a fine wine, right?
Correct. Really. And I must admit, I like the smell, but listen, I'm not stupid. Like, it's the kind of smell that it's just not nice for some people, and I understand why. Sure. There's an association with it, but it just
let me jump into a question real quick that's coming up for me, and here's where it's coming from. We actually just had a recording with Riley Cote, and he used to play for the Philadelphia Flyers, and he owns a company, Body Check Wellness, and we were talking about medicinal medicines, and that being the cannabinoids, the THC, the hemps of the world, the mushrooms of the world. Now, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s was before those cannabinoids. There was the X of shortly after World War II. And that's when those plant-based medicines were not really deemed legal. You could still get them naturally. So during those studies, I would say I don't know, I wasn't there, but I would imagine that it's fair to say that people were ingesting those natural plant-based medicines. So again, like I said earlier, when you're peeing, it's pulling the water from that, and that could be some of the medicinal effects that you're getting. So, am I going off there somewhere? Do they have a factor in this whole, like, in the potency and how well it works?
Are you saying that Are you saying that for you, what you're thinking through now is the effects of other medicines are coming out in a pee, and that's the benefits for you? Or
yeah, because everyone knows. Well, I shouldn't say everyone knows. That's a bad statement. We've been programmed that if you take vitamins and your body just excretes, gets rid of what it doesn't need.
Yes.
So in the same concept and discussion, if you're burning off the fungi, the hemp, and it's too much, your body's going to excrete it somehow, some way.
True. Yep.
Would that be part of the medicinal reason why it worked? Yeah.
So to me, no, this is a great point, because let's be honest here. Also, I don't know if you heard about the Amanita muscaria red and white mushroom. It's very famous and symbolic. Legitimately, when you drink it, it comes out in the pee, and then you take it again and you're getting double the dose. So let me caveat your statement and say that everything good you take into your body, whether that be good diet, the extra vitamins, minerals, hormones, whether that be plant medicine, psychedelics even, that is going to come out in the pee and you can reuse it. That's a factor in urine therapy. But no, I'm not even going to go there, because that's another whole story. The main benefits of urine therapy that I and everyone experiences, and everyone, if open-minded, to try, because, by the way, you don't need to believe a word of what I'm saying. All you need to be is open-minded and see for yourself. It's just one of those things that you need to learn for your own teachings. I can't hold your hand and make you do urine therapy. What I can do is give you the courage to do it for yourself, to have a little faith, and then not placebo, try it out yourself and really experience it. But no, Scott, the benefits of urine therapy come from a number of factors. Like, for example, you touched on something, excess. So we are making excess hormones, vitamins, minerals, enzymes in our blood all the time. And stem cells too. So all of those things, like, it come out into the urine, the excess. Now, when we re-ingest it, we get an excess of, like a supplement drink. It's one way of looking at it. You've got excess hormones, vitamins, minerals, antibodies from every disease you're fighting, whether that be manifested into reality, or like we said earlier, like a cancer, because we're all fighting diseases. We're at a war right now. So yeah, it's all coming out in the urine. But I'll go one stage further and say that I know for a fact the main mechanism of why urine is so powerful isn't, and this is actually controversial because even in the urine therapy community, people don't understand this, but I know this for a fact. Yeah. It's the supplement factor, the nutrients that makes urine therapy so powerful, the fresh urine. What it is your blood is ultra filtered blood plasma. So what that means is the kidneys, they've got 1 million nephrons each. They filtrate the blood into a very fine powered structured format. Your blood, okay, let's not talk about urine. Let's talk about blood here. Your urine is your blood's floating around you right now as a human that's alive is structured water. It's not dead, it's structured. What it means is like a Gerald Pollack talks about, a 4-phase of water. And the healthier you are, the more structured your blood and your water is. Now, your urine is a composite of that blood. So when you do urine therapy and re-ingest, that urine is the main mechanism of your benefits comes from the fact that you are now drinking for the first time in your life, probably, if you're new to urine therapy, you're drinking now structured water because tap water is not structured. Bottled spring water is not structured. Spring water is structured. But then most people don't drink spring water and sometimes it's got crap in it. So for the first time in life, you do urine therapy. What's really common, Scott, is what we call a detoxification crisis. For example, when I first took it, I got diarrhea for 2-3 days. But that wasn't diarrhea in a bad sense. That was all the toxins coming out because of I was drinking structured water for the first time in my life.
Wow. All right. So let me piggyback what I just said on top of what you just explained. There in America, we are a toxicology lab walking on 2 feet. All the pharmaceuticals and all the ingestion, whether it be NSAIDs, which are very widely accepted and used over the counter, right? So let's just classify over the counter or, shelf, right? Or prescription. There's a lot of prescription meds in people's blood and people's systems. So are your kidneys, is your body properly breaking down those drug therapies that are in the body? Because they really are drugs, some form of drug therapy that has an intent, and where you can still drink your urine when you have those drug therapies in there. Because now let's be fair and let's be honest with that topic. Well, part of the topic right there.
Yeah, be real. I mean, I want you to challenge me too.
So those drug therapies are toxins.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because they're manufactured, they're processed, and they're assimilated to create an effect.
Yep.
Right? We know that for sure. But at the same time, some of the effects may be good. So, for example, let's say take penicillin for a minute, right? There actually is an article I need to go into, not for this discussion, for another one, about the alternate to take and ingest outside of penicillin, a natural from a flower. So, what happens to your body when you excrete, when you pee, and you have that type of toxicology in your body? Like, what are you? Are you supposed to let your body filter out for a few days first? Like, what happens there?
This is a good question. Like, there's no definitive answer to urine therapy. I'll give you my opinion and my experience and what I've learned so far. So listen, I'm not going to lie here and say to you that your waste products of medication actually do choose the channel primarily for whatever reason of the urine. So that might confuse people and think it's where all of the waste comes from. But anyway, so we agree that definitely, because you do urine analysis of people that athletes, don't they, to see if they've taken stuff they shouldn't. So it comes out in the urine. So when you redo urine therapy at a time when you are like a lot of people toxic because you're taking drugs, it is going to come out in the urine. Now, there was a dogma. I'm not one for dogma with urine therapy, Scott. Like, there is some dogma out there you will find that will say that don't do it because you're retaking the drugs. Now, my opinion on that is, and I've read books on it and resonate with, urine therapy is so powerful that it almost supersedes the fact that you're retaking the drugs, or retaking the things that come out in the drugs. And a lot of people say to me that you get benefits from anyway, even if they're on drugs. Now, I don't want to be responsible though for people suffering because of what I said. I'm just saying for you, try out and experience for yourself. But if it was me and I was on toxic drugs at this point, I would absolutely do urine therapy with full faith that the benefits outweigh the negatives. And yeah, do it. But then it becomes on to a whole different topic, which maybe we can get into with the aged urine, which is even more powerful. And when it comes to aged urine, okay, get this. You want me to blow your mind?
Yep.
Okay, so that's an issue with fresh urine, that it definitely does come out. Now, this is something that we learned in the community with aged urine. When the urine sits in a bottle, open or contained, it ages by itself. How long? Good question. The longer it gets, the more powerful, but we'll say, but for what I'm talking about, a couple of weeks. So after 2 or 3 weeks, closed lid, open lid, plastic, which is not good, or whatever you do with it, you just contain it. And say you're a toxic person and that fresh urine had loads of drugs in it and heavy metals and poisons. What happens after a few weeks is the aged urine, for some reason, it purifies itself and literally nullifies and neutralizes all the bad shit that was in it. And I still don't know fully exactly what. I know why it gets more powerful. I can explain that to you. But basically, the drugs are no longer a factor in it. The older it gets so powerful. And that goes for heavy metal toxicity. That doesn't just go for drugs. Anything bad that was in the urine present in the fresh, the aged urine. This is why I'm obsessed with it, Scott. It's just the most magic. And it also leads me to think that it was designed, the fresh urine was designed as a panacea for all, but I think it goes deeper. I think our creation decided the aged urine to be more powerful as an ultimate weapon for our health system. And it's just why I'm so passionate about talking about it and wrote the books on it.
Wow. Okay. You talked about, this is the big one. So, and this is where I'm going to go with the conversation real quick. When people are in desperation, meaning that they have a potential terminal or a life-ending disease or illness.
Yeah.
Cancer, Alzheimer's, so what's your experience there? What's the research showing there? Because those are the folks that will probably in their own behind their own closed doors
do it. They're desperate enough, right?
I'm going to give it a try. Because if we're being honest here, who wants to go through chemo? Who wants to go through radiation? I don't know the stats. Nor do I care to know those stats, but there are a lot of stories. Yeah, my loved one passed away after radiation treatment. It just knocked them out. Chemo, radiation took their life. Their bodies just wasn't able to handle and manage it. So what is the science showing, and what have you been hearing back, if you have any testimonials for people who have those types of illnesses? Yeah,
so let me tell you, this modern research to urine therapy is down to, I'm going to be honest, one man who wrote a book called The Water of Life, and his name is John Armstrong. Now, in the 1940s, he was a doctor, and he went around to a lot of patients. I think he dealt with 10,000 patients, and his primary way of dealing with them wasn't with pharmaceutical medicine. It wasn't with diet. It wasn't with fasting. It was with urine therapy. So what he did, they had cancer. They were terminal and almost dying. He got them to drink their own fresh urine. He also got them to pee and did aged urine on them. So he waited. It's written in the book. Their old fermented urine for a week or two. And what he did with the fermented urine was, so he got them to drink their fresh, and he got them to do the fermented urine, and he rubbed them all over the body, all over the skin. Because whatever you put on your skin, whether good or bad, enters the bloodstream super easy. And what happened was, all of his patients, even those on death doors, got cured from this. And it's written in the book. It's a beautiful book, and that man is responsible pretty much for this modern resurgence of the hidden knowledge that was always there. And it's a great book. I recommend everyone check it out. It literally saved so many people's lives.
So I'm going to ask you this question. I haven't done this necessarily all yet, but what are the side effects or the adverse events that happen or that could happen with drinking urine, or is there none?
Well, no, there is, because me and you know that anything that if we're full of toxicity, it takes effort, and the toxins have to come out from deep within the bloodstream, and this is going to mean symptoms of a headache or diarrhea, nausea, lethargy, depression. So here's the problem: some people try out urine therapy, and first things first, including me, sometimes you get a headache straight away. Sometimes you get, like I had, diarrhea, but people need to understand, this is not the medicine not working. This is the medicine working too well, and it's coming out, because things don't just come out by magic. They have to go through a system where you have to suffer if you're that toxic with it. So that's the side effects that will often happen. And then people will blame the medicine and say, oh, well, urine therapy didn't work for me. I tried it and I got a headache straight away. And I'm like, yeah, because you were super toxic, and you were going through a Hexheimer reaction where it had to come out.
Well, that will go into some of the conversation too with the root brands, with the detox, with CleanSlate.
Yep, exactly. The same thing. Yeah. This is a really important topic beyond urine therapy, and any single powerful protocol, fasting, whatever diet changes, whatever you do, if you do something really powerful like urine therapy, like root, if you do something like that and you're toxic, do expect some kind of adverse reaction, because you are pulling out quickly. But it doesn't mean to give up. It just means to ride it out, because there's a point where you will just remove the toxicity, and then your energy will come, and then the real truth of that medicine will come to you.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. I want to mention real quick, I didn't do this in the beginning of the show, and we probably do in the intro as well, but for all those who are interested in, if you have a loved one, if there is a reason or an illness that you're trying to overcome, Harry can be reached on Instagram at Holistic Health with Harry, very, very easily. And then we'll put that link in the bio, in the podcast notes, as we always do. And we'll also make sure that we include, he doesn't have an official website yet. He's working on that, but he does have a website reference that you can reach him there as well. So we'll make sure we include that there at the same time. So Harry, I'm sorry I didn't mention that in the early part of the conversation, but I want to make sure we got it in.
Cheers,
so, all right. So what does the therapy look like? So someone decides, yes, I'm going to start urine therapy. I need to exhaust all my options. I have a terminal illness I've been diagnosed with. What's day one look like?
Right. In a way, this is a paradox. In a way, it's an art and a science, and in a way, it's not. It's as simple as just drink your pee. And I say that because in a way, it can be simple, and in a way, it can be complicated. There's ways to get the urine in, but what I say to people is maybe just drink your pee and start doing that, so we can keep it simple and just drink our pee, whichever pee. Doesn't matter what pee. Some pees are more quality than other pees, but then it's your pee. And not only that, it's your pee. Other people's pee works too if you're ill, but your pee works best because it's got the antibodies for what you're fighting. So yeah, I just work with people where they're at. What Scott basically, and what I'm saying is what you're willing to do. Some people aren't willing to drink their fresh urine. Some people definitely aren't willing to mess about with aged urine.
Let's say they are. Let's just assume right now, just to keep the discussion simple, that they are willing to explore this option. And let's say they're trying to overcome, I don't want to say it's a cancer. I don't want to define anything. I just want to keep it open-ended. But they want to overcome an illness. What does the therapy look like? They just start drinking pee. Is that all they drink? Or they just do it once a day at 4 ounces? Is there a regimen? Because how I'm trying to phrase this and put this together, I guess, in my own way, is we've been programmed. And there's usually like a recommended prescription. Right. So is there a prescription? And
this is the thing. We are programmed to think we need a certain, I know what you're saying. I think we're programmed. This is not where I come from. We're programmed to think we need a certain structure with how we do it. But the actual truth of urine therapy is, and where I come from, is just to do it. Listen, Scott, because it's so medicinal, what I'd say to someone, and there is actually, this is a rule and this is true. The more urine therapy you do, you put back into you, whichever means, the quicker you're going to heal. And so it's a good start if you do a little bit, but it's a lot better if you do a lot. And that includes when you got a physical health disease or you want to raise your vibration, because it's such a powerful fluid. It's your ultrafiltered blood plasma. You can mess about with it in many ways. You can drink it. Some people aren't willing to drink, then put it on the skin. If you're willing to go hardcore, then there's many ways I wrote about in my book to do the aged or fresh urine. You can do, you said earlier about enemas. Do you know what's really cool? If you've got a serious disease, don't just drink it, do an enema. Put fresh urine in your enema and aged urine and put it up your bum, because that will clean your colon out and it goes straight to the liver and your bloodstream through the colon. What a great therapy. I mean, wasn't it Hippocrates said everything's caused in the gut, like all the diseases? Well, let's get the urine up the bum. I mean, this is a crazy therapy because you can heal your brain, and not just through drinking it. You can massage it into your head. It goes straight into your brain. You can drink it. We do this in a community. This is extreme. You can take it up the nose, but I'll tell you what, it may sound extreme, but people do it for the benefits, because you get a high when it's I'm like you. I'm a biohacker. Like, I love the explanation of consciousness that you can do with psychedelics and other stuff, but also with free therapies like urine therapy. So if someone's seriously ill and they're up for it, God, I'd say, okay, you want to do the aged urine, drink it, put the aged urine on your skin. I put aged urine on my skin, Scott, before I came on with you. And oh my God, I mean, it looks good. Like, it makes your skin look good and you get so much energy, and people will start wondering why you look 10 years younger than you actually do. And I'm 33, by the way. And one of the secrets to me looking young and having good skin and my hair growing quicker is aged urine. But fresh urine does it too. So yeah, I just say to people, there's so many ways to take it. You can massage it into the skin. You can drink it. You can put it up your bum. You can put it through your nose. You can do it under the tongue sublingually, just a small amount. And that's really powerful because that bypasses the digestive system. If you just hold it under the tongue, you just get a really powerful energy system for that. Homeopathic doses of urine work too. So there's many ways to do it.
Now, what about, now you mentioned other people's urine that you could use. What about animals? And I know we're going to a different realm there, but I mean, let's explore it. I mean, is there anything there? Because, for example, there's different cell membranes of, fish or octopus, for example, or just different creatures in the sea versus the land that we're pulling enzymes from and using those for different forms of drug therapies.
Yeah.
Can we use urine from animals? Is that plausible? Is that out of the question? Is there any research there?
Yeah, I think So the answer is yes. I mean, if you look at traditions, if you go to India now, you'll find that it's very popular over there and very common that maybe not human urine, but actually cow urine, because cows are a sacred animal and they drink. Do you know that, Scott, that you can buy there on the shops, in normal shops, you can buy cow urine. It's a sacred animal, but they seem to have figured out not only that urine therapy is for humans, but it's for cows too. So it's sacred and a pure cow, but the cow urine is drunk there as a popular medicinal, and it seems to give people a lot of benefits. My opinion on that is I've seen YouTube clips of pretty much every animal you can think of at some point drinking their urine. I don't think it's for fun. I think that urine has always been a medicine for every single animal to resort to at times. Most animals don't feel like they need it. But yes, I know for a fact that, I would drink. There wouldn't be an animal that I would think, oh, that's dirty and wasteful. I would receive it as what it truly is, medicinal. And that includes everything, man. Like, I think the Maasai they wash themselves with cow urine. I saw a video recently. They wash their hair with the cow. And I'm thinking, bless them, that's cool. But you got your own, bro. I mean, it's good, but use your own. Don't worry about animals. But yes, animals are cool too. I mean, people do whatever they want. I think it's more extreme doing an animal's urine your own. I think that's more extreme, more hardcore. But,
Awesome. All right, man. Well, is there anything that I'm not asking that we need to ask to introduce to the audience?
Good question. Yeah, I guess the fact, talk a little bit about the aged urine. So like I said earlier, the fresh urine is amazing. And I know everyone that's open to trying it will always report amazing things that come from it. But the aged urine gets more powerful when it's older and fermented. And the reason why that I figured out through synchronicities is, and I wrote about in my second book, is that thing I talked to you about, the main mechanism of action for the fresh urine, the structured water, Gerald Pollack's 4 phase, which is swimming around our blood. Our blood is always structured. We're alive. Well, when the urine ages by itself, it becomes more structured. So when it gets to 1 week old, 2 weeks old, a couple of months old, it's just structuring by itself. It's becoming that Gerald Pollack's 4 phase times a million. It's becoming what I call uber super structured. When water becomes uber super structured, what it does, Scott, it's kind of like the root CLEANSLATE, which is extremely negatively charged. Now you've got an extremely negatively charged medicine in the aged urine, an extremely negative charge. What that means is it's going to pull out all the toxins, all the heavy metals, and all the crap that incite you systematically from drinking it or getting it into your system. That's why I obsess over the aged, because it becomes a superpower, godly, free medicine that anyone can do. And the main mechanism of action is it becomes Gerald Pollack's 4 phase by itself with no outside. You can hide it. It doesn't need sunlight to structure it. It doesn't even need an open lid. It just does it, and it just goes to work. And everyone reports when they do it, aged urine, like, your breath slows down, your consciousness shifts to a level you can't imagine from a free medicine. You can't imagine it until you try it.
Wow. Okay. let's shift over to the root brands. You want to talk about CleanSlate and Zero In and your experience there. And we actually I want to say we just concluded, but we released a podcast. We decided that every 9th episode out of 10 now, we're going to do a recap of what we learned, what we introduced to the audience and the best and brightest of the Healthcare 360 and all that. So we talked about root brands, and I, like you, I like to biohack. I have fun with it, and I'm just kind of checking off the responses and what's going on. I noticed that with Zero In, with the combination of the eSmarter sleeve, it was just the focus, the intent, the getting the tasks done was just wasn't even next level. It was like I was in grade school again in the first grade, and I already graduated school. It was that as far as if you had to rank it, right?
Yeah.
It was just, it's really and then I went to bed like nothing happened.
Yep.
And
even
then I woke up.
Caffeine in it. Funny that, isn't it? Even though it's got caffeine in it.
I went to bed and I woke up like nothing again. So that's been my response. Even without the eSmarter, I still had a positive response with Zero In. Even without Zero In, I still have a positive response with eSmarter. But both of them together are
fire. Man, I connect to you so much. Through synchronicities, I've got to tell you, Scott, and you'll be able to relate to this, and anyone in the audience hasn't tried it, though has tried it, will be able to relate to this too. I mean, there's zeolites and there's CleanSlate. And like CleanSlate is by far the best zeolite you will ever try in your life. I mean, I'm doing quite well with it now, Scott, and every one of my signups has tried it, and they are getting shocking results from just a couple of drops. Absolutely shocking. Now, this is a bottle that's got 600 drops in it. It's not even that expensive, but if you take 1 or 2 drops from the moment you try this product, it's very hard to deny that something magical is going on. For me, it hits my brain, my pineal straight away. I don't know how, but this little drop's going straight to my brain. I was like, whoa. Yeah. And the more you take, like 5 or 7 is extreme when it comes to CleanSlate. It's not a lot, it sounds like, but it is, because it's so powerful. I'm honest, man. Like, I've not tried a lot of supplements, I'll be honest, but this one is by far the best one that I've ever seen in my life. There's something the formula of what they've done is amazing. I'm a lifelong fan. I love Zero In. I think I love CleanSlate more because the Zero In is cool for happiness, but the foundation, the CleanSlate, literally does, as the name suggests, it's going to remove the biggest problems, like the aged urine. This is the reason why I like aged urine. I remember I said earlier, the aged urine is supremely negatively charged. The simple way to look at CleanSlate is it's supremely negatively charged. So it goes and pulls out from the deepest levels of toxicity within your body, all the heavy metals into the blood and into the urine. And it pulls out into it.
I got to commend Clayton and Dr. Christina Ram on this one because they really put together something special that is helping a lot of people.
Do you know, I'd just like to add to that, Scott. So I've just spoken to Clayton now, and just before I came on with you, he's such a personal guy, by the way. I love his vibe.
Yeah. And, very dynamic. Yeah.
And so what's going on, I feel, it's not like, because we know the main ingredient is clintipolite, which is 97% is of the earth. But here's the thing, like if you pick it up off the ground, you get it in a powder. What happens is that you're picking up all the heavy metals, all the crap that it's absorbed. So you need to process this mineral in order for it to be really effective. So what they've done is they've got to process the 2 geniuses of them. They fracked it at a certain level to purify it. And then they polarized it. So they cleaned out all the crap that's absorbed, fracked it, polarized it, and maximize the medicine, so it's a supreme negative charge. And now all of a sudden, with just 1 drop, you can pull out so much crap. I just want to add too, not only are you pulling out crap, get this, there's also trace minerals in it, but the main ingredient it gives you is orthosilicic acid, which another way of saying is you're now talking about bioavailable silica. Now your body, your skin, your hair is predominantly made out of silica. It's really super important. And there's types like diatomaceous earth that do have some benefits, but they get stuck in the gut. They're not bioavailable. Now, this silica that they've used, orthosilicic acid in the product, is now bioavailable. It swims around the body, and my skin has got better. Everyone I've watched that is on it consistently, that's important, has much better skin. They have increased hair growth. They have better nails. And it's not just the heavy metals that are being pulled out. It's the fact that you're now getting bioavailable silica into your body. So you look and feel younger. It's phenomenal. Well, you've got detoxification supreme, because I think heavy metals are the biggest issue that we all face in these times. The biggest, people talk about other toxins. I think heavy metals are definitely there. So you've got that, but then you've also got this massive dose of bioavailable silica, which is really going to purify that body. And it's such a powerful combo that they figured out. And yeah, it is literally the best. I mean, the best zeolite, I'd say it's one of the best supplements, man. Like, for real, like, it's phenomenal what it does.
I'd say that you're a fan, man, for sure. For sure. So before we start in closing for this, Harry, is there anything else you want to bring up that we have between, again, the urine therapy, the root brands? Is there anything that we don't know that you've hacked with? Because not that I'm so new. I mean, I've known Clayton now and Dr. Christina around for a while now, and they are very gracious to our show. They contribute a lot on the backside as far as information or redirecting and where to get information to make sure that it's legitimate and it's validated. So again, we're friends and we appreciate them so much. But is there anything that you figured out on your own that you want to talk about?
Sure. Quickly, I want to give, my last message is this. I want to give hope to people. Now, listen, I believe that nature is amazing, and nature and free therapies can heal you. And I figured out through other people and learning that there's a lot of powerful therapies. Urine therapy is only the surface. We can't make this a 5-hour, maybe we could do another one in the future, but it's not just urine therapy. There's many therapies. What I'm trying to say is that, look, this is not expensive, but it does cost money. So I earned my stripes when I didn't have money on free therapies. So one of them we talked about in depth is urine therapy. There's also others. There's another lie out there quickly called looking at the sun makes you go blind. Actually, that lies there because sungazing, which I wrote books about too, is really powerful. That's another one. You guys should be open-minded to try it and see. And it goes deeper, Scott, quickly, because it's not just the sunrise sunset that some people might have heard of. Also, midday sungazing heals your eyes and just raise your vibration. So what I'm saying is there's grounding that's free. There's sun gazing that's free. There's cloud gazing that's really powerful too when there's no sun. There's fasting. There's intermittent fasting. There's urine therapy that's like got really powerful water. There's so many free therapies out there for people that think, oh, but Harry's just talking about this. Scott's just talking about these supplements that cost money and I'm poor. I mean, there's meditation, breath work, yoga, qigong. There's many. But at the same time, I don't want to limit myself here because I've been accused of, because people that have known me on Facebook have said that I would know me as a free guy and now I promote other stuff. There is stuff out there that me and you know about that, like you promote with the Vox. There's so many powerful therapies out there. I don't limit myself to just free stuff. I do everything because that's what I feel like we should all be doing. We're living in such a toxic world that I feel like we need to go hardcore and get on with the most powerful free therapies and also paid therapies on earth. And I realized that I'm not on all the most powerful free and paid therapies on earth, but as a light worker here, I am on some, and I figured out some of the most powerful free and paid therapies on earth. And I think that we need to be doing whatever resonates with us, or some of us doing all of them to figure out for other people. So my last message to people is don't give up hope. Start drinking your urine. Watch that change your life. If you don't want to do urine therapy, then please try out the CLEANSLATE. Try out things that are cheap, that work. Do what you can. There's always hope out there. And trust me, when I started out, I wish someone had told me the vibrations you can achieve and energy levels you can achieve from focusing on physical health with all the amazing free and paid stuff on earth. And that's my mission now, to be that guy that gives you the hacks, because I know people don't have the time. People watch this and they're the ones that are going to seek the information us. So what I'm saying is to trust people like me and Scott and to try these out for yourself. Urine therapy, CLEANSLATE, and so many others. Psychedelics, I mean, sun gazing, grounding, fasting, whatever you want to call it. Try it.
We ground. Michelle and I, we go to the beach, not every morning, but there are a few times a week. For the last couple of weeks, we've been going in. I sit in the ocean and just sit in the waves not that that's a therapy, but I guess the saline, the salt and the saline, it's very negatively charged. I mean, you can't get really better than that, I would think.
No. Yeah.
I haven't tried sun gazing. I'll give that a whirl. intermittent fasting, I practice that every day for the most part. There's some days that I skip based on where my weight is. My body responds really well to intermittent fasting. I really try to balance and just notice where my body is.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing I'm coming up with now, Harry, which I find pretty interesting, is that when I think about something, let's say it's a piece of food, but if I have a heavy feeling about it, I avoid it. So I'm literally leaning on my emotional system. Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? If it feels light, I go for it. If it feels heavy, I'm out. So because people know, and let me give a quick example. This one's a punch in the face, and I'm sorry, but you'll have to hear it anyways. But when you're full and you're like, oh, what's one more bite, or what's one more dessert? Right? Your body knows.
It knows.
Your subconscious is telling you, hey, you probably shouldn't do this. You don't need it. Like, you're full.
Hey, and Scott, get this. Have you ever had a situation quickly where you've been eating and you've gone past the point where you're now full, and you eat, and the actual taste of that food doesn't taste the same as it did at the beginning? There's a point. This is how you know when you're overeating, like, because the taste now becomes tasteless. That's how intelligent the body is. It's saying, oh, you just eating too much. We're trying to stop you from eating too much and protect you, because overeating, oh my God, that's probably...
That's really interesting you say that. Sorry. That's really interesting that you say that, because in our recap, Michelle and I recap on episode 79, we talked about Dr. Goldhammer and water fasting, long-term water fasting. And he specifically says that salt, sugars, and oils are the three, or the SOS of the three that knock it down, but specifically salt, because salt just narrows it down and beats down the food, where you believe that you can keep eating because it just desensitizes the taste glands. And now that you're saying that, your body's saying, that's interesting. You just said that the body purposely loses shuts down the taste.
It becomes bland.
Guess what's still active? The salt and all the different additives or spices that you may add to your food, because that's still a response. If, let's say, for example, you use a sprinkle of capsaicin, which is peppers, jalapenos, your body can't shut that down.
Yeah, that's so true. And the salt tricks your system into. So you're saying the salt tricks your system into thinking that it's tasty. Oh my God, that I never thought that, Scott. We're always learning here. That's so key. And I think the body knows when enough's enough. And just quickly before I leave, I think like the number one for me cause of disease, if I had to nail it, is just overeating. It's just
that's what Riley Cook said,
and it's a frequency. It's not even just amount, because people think it's just a big amount one time. No. It's the frequency and the lack of, because the frequency is so high, the detoxification pathways never get onto full charge. They get onto a very low charge. And if you can't detox out the poisons, you can't heal, and you're going to get problems in the future. You've done your homework. You've done a lot of reading. You wrote a few books yourself. What are you reading and what are you listening to on podcasts that keep you educated? I love this question. Books have changed my life, and that's why I felt I need to give back. I'm going to confess here and be completely honest. I have a shit ton of books, and I'm so busy now that I am lacking on the reading part. So you called me out and exposed me. I love books, and I'm going to get back into that habit. So I can't ask that. However, on the podcasts at the moment, I love health podcasts. I'm an endless learner. I'm listening currently to Ben Greenfield podcast. Do you know him?
I do. Yeah.
I love that show
yet.
Oh my God. I've tried to reach out to him. Hopefully I'll get him on the show and let me go on. But I hope he comes onto yours. Now, that guy is so cool. And my favorite episode so far is the one with his sons, because that guy's homeschooled his children. And the way his children have turned out at 12, 13, that comes across on the podcast recently with them being interviewed, he doesn't treat them like an ego role of he knows it all. And it's not, you can feel it. It's a vibe. Like, he treats them with so much respect, because these kids he's brought up with so much intelligence. They are so smart. The unschooling aspect of that is just, it's inspiring, is what I'm saying, Scott. I'm never going to forget that episode and what he's done to inspire me. So, because if I ever have children, I'm going to go through that unschooling process, and it'll be scary. But I've got Ben Greenfield's kids as a great example of what kids can turn out like when they're homeschooled well. So yeah, I recommend to people a load of podcasts. God, I can talk about, I don't know if you know Luke Story, another amazing dude. I fucking love, if you don't know him, check that one out. But Ben Greenfield at the moment, my God, there's so many, Scott, abundant podcasts like so many. People message me all the time.
There are a lot of bad ones as well.
True.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm going to say that again. So there are a lot of good ones and a lot of bad ones at the same time. There's one that I like a lot. I haven't listened to him in a few weeks, but it's 0.1%.
Okay.
Very good. And okay. I do listen to Ben every now and again. My wife just turned me on to one called The Next Great Idea. That's fascinating. That's a very good one as well.
Yeah.
I don't like podcasts that have ads. I just can't stand them. And also, I mean, I love Rogan. Rogan's great. I don't tune into all of his episodes, only of the ones of interest where if they're talking about physics or mathematics. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's on, anytime he's on, I will listen. You have the final word, Harry. You can leave the audience with whatever you like. What would you like to tell them?
Just to be open-minded, to trust your body. Your body is all powerful. There are many ways to heal. We're all trying to heal and become the best versions of yourself. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm very personable. You can find me on Instagram and all that stuff. I would encourage people to share their gifts and masteries of other people on social media and real life. I also really want to encourage people to write a book, because everyone, I feel, Scott, has a book inside them, and most will die never getting it done. And to be honest with you, most people die with a lot of regrets. And who knows, I might, but if I'm being honest and real, I'm probably, if I died today, I'm like, listen, I tried my best. So yeah, I just want to encourage people to be the best version of themselves. Keep listening to Scott Burgess. Keep listening to good podcasts, all the suggestions we've given. Keep learning from people. Be humble. Don't just like give out advice for free. Like, learn too. Be both. Be everything, because you are all everything. And I do want to shout out Chris Scott, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real pleasure, man, to flow with you.
Harry, you were perfect, man. It was it was a fun conversation. I learned a lot. In my estimation, we validated something that a lot of people probably try to dismiss just because they were programmed in a way of not. And if I'm being honest here, I'm still trying. I'm being open-minded to it, but I'm still.
Yes, it takes time. It takes time
because
to,
again,
it takes
don't
time.
do that. It's dirty, or in today's world, if kids are like, you'll wash your hands before you. It's like. George Carlson, I listened to one of his comedic stand-ups, and he was talking about just not washing his hands when he was a kid growing up in New York City, and all. It was wild, funny, and crazy all at the same time. Yeah. So anyways, Harry, I want to thank you. Thank you again for taking the time. Thank you for introducing all this to us. I would love to do this again on some different therapies. I'm going to try the sungazing for sure, like right away.
Yeah.
And I want to see what those benefits are without any kind of influence from anybody. And I'll report it back. So you and I will
message me and let me know how it goes.
Well, everyone else with Healthcare 360, part of the best and brightest. We'll see you for the next one. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Amazing, dude. That was fun.
Hey, cheers, Scott, man. Hey, that was cool, man. You asked some great questions, and I got some great information from you too. That was really fun. I enjoyed it.
If you liked that clip, be sure to check out our daily videos of Healthcare 360 on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And while you're at it, don't forget to head on over to scotteburgess.com and sign up for our mailing list, where you will get the latest and greatest in medtech, health tech, healthcare, and your personal well-being. We'll see you there.